So thank you, Mary. We could go to the next slide, Sandra. So I wanted to just briefly discuss the opportunities you have at the University of Colorado Boulder. So we are a Tier 1 research institution. So that's kind of like the highest classification of research-focused institutions, but we're a comprehensive university. So we have over 190 graduate programs at the master's or PhD level, and they range, everything, from natural sciences, arts, humanities to business, law, engineering, really everything in between. And a lot of what you'll find, which I think is particularly appealing about the US education system, is a lot of focus on interdisciplinary study. And you don't have, as you do in many other educational systems, such a strict adherence to staying in one lane, that your first, bachelor's degree has to be in the same field as your master's degree, has to be in the same field as your PhD, or that your field has to be narrowly within one sub-discipline. And you'll find many programs that are drawing in faculty from a wide range of different departments. And so here you see just like a nice picture of our campus. We're located in Colorado, which is in kind of the center west of the United States, right at the base of the Rocky Mountains. There you see where the mountains start. And then, it's really flat land on the other side, all the way through Mary up probably basically to like the East Coast and the Appalachian Mountains. And then you get right here, and we're right at the edge of kind of the tallest mountain range in the US. Can go ahead to the next slide. We, in addition to, you saw that number 38 ranking that was also held true in 2019. We need to update that slide. And that's based on our research output, that ARWU or Shanghai ranking, but also the city of Boulder, where you get the opportunity to live while you're studying, is a fantastic place to be. We've been ranked #1 smartest city. That's by a measure of the number of PhD holders per capita. National Geographic has ranked us #1 happiest city. I think that's just goes to, the general quality of life. You'll find that by virtue of our location, students take advantage of the outdoors, and we really tend to draw a very kind of outdoorsy, healthy lifestyle focused student body to study with us. Can go ahead to the next slide, Sandra. Thank you. Here's a map just to situate us. Again, we're in Boulder, which is right outside of Denver, the capital city of our state, just about 45 minutes from the international airport there, where you have a direct bus and easy connection. You don't need a car in Boulder. Boulder is a smaller, quintessential kind of what we call in the US a college town, meaning that the town is majority population is either students, faculty, and staff. Like there's about 150,000 people that live in Boulder. Around 40,000 of them are students, and then you add another 30,000 faculty and staff, and you see that really the majority of the town is in some way or another affiliated with the university, and you get that feel. But you're just about 30 minutes outside of downtown Denver, a city of close to 3 million people that has many more, just a wider range of offerings. So you have kind of the best of both worlds. You can go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we're a Tier 1 research university. We have 5 Nobel laureate professors that are currently teaching and supervising PhD students, 4 in the field of physics and 1 in the field of biochemistry. And we host many Fulbright fellows. I know some of you in the audience today may be prospective Fulbright applicants. And so we work very closely with our Fulbright students as well. Can go to the next slide. And here you can just see, just as I mentioned, we have over 190 programs. So this is by no means a comprehensive list of some of our rankings, but these are some of our top 20 rankings of our graduate programs. And you'll find here kind of, it seems like overemphasis on the sciences and engineering, but even some programs like our ceramics program is ranked #5 in the US. So, even our arts and business programs, we have some of the oldest public business programs in the US as well. So just a small sampling of some of our rankings. We can go on to the next slide. And again, I'm going to come back on this emphasis on research. So if you are a student who knows that really your only opportunity to go to the US is if you're going to receive funding or full funding, then you probably need to focus more of you're going to have more success obtaining funding if you're applying to research-based programs, and if you're applying to programs that are not terminal masters. So many of our programs offer you two different options. So like, let's say you want to study computer science at the University of Colorado Boulder. You can study either a traditional Master's of Science, which is going to have a thesis component and really set you up as a stepping stone to applying to a PhD program, or just preparing you to work as a kind of more research focused. Or you could apply to a professional master's program in computer science, where instead of taking those additional course credits in writing a dissertation and focusing in all of this research, if you know you just want to do a master's degree in computer science and go work in the field, then you can do a professional master's, and you are then not doing a dissertation and focusing more on industry preparation. Now, the big difference is in terms of funding. The students that are doing the traditional master's and the master's leading to a PhD or a combined master's PhD, or what you can do for many of our departments, including in the social sciences, many departments only allow you to apply directly to a PhD program. So they don't offer standalone master's degrees. So for example, if you want to do economics at the graduate level at the University of Colorado Boulder, you apply directly to the PhD program, knowing that the first 2 years of that PhD program are a master's program, and you will be awarded a master's degree. But the benefit of going that route is that 5-year program, if you're admitted, is guaranteed to be supported fully financially. So when they say a full funding support, that is typically as Mary mentioned, these mutually beneficial relationships between the student and the department. You are contractually agreeing to work for your faculty as a teaching assistant or a research assistant on a part-time basis, up to 20 hours per week, depending on the needs of the department and your strengths as an applicant. In exchange, the department is waiving you paying any tuition and paying you a stipend to cover your living expenses, and then paying 90% of your health insurance and covering 90% of your student fees. So really what's left is a very small amount of student fees and then relocation costs on top of that. So those programs are going to be the research-focused programs. Our professional programs are going to offer you scholarship opportunities, but rarely as generous of types of funding, and definitely not the same widespread guarantee of full financial support for the duration of your studies as you're going to see in research-based PhD programs. But you will have opportunities to apply, for example, in an MBA, like a business program that's not going to be research-focused, or that Masters of the Environment program, which I brought up earlier, is also another example of a professional program, and that is preparing you for industry. Those programs will have merit-based or kind of essay-based scholarships available that will reduce tuition fees, but are not necessarily going to waive tuition outright fully. We can go on to the next slide. So yeah, so as I was mentioning, those research and teaching assistantships are where you're going to see the full funding offers typically. Then scholarship awards or grants are typically reserved for and going towards really very highly academically competitive students that have really strong GPAs and that the departments really are interested in recruiting. And those don't necessarily come, like sometimes you could get a fellowship for a program. And really the difference between assistantships and fellowships is that a fellowship is essentially the same thing without the requirement that you work for the department. So it's basically the free money without the work component, which does allow you to kind of focus a little bit more intensely on your own research interests and pursuits. And then there's other scholarships and funding available, but that's where you really want to get in touch with the departments and individuals like myself or Mary. And I will share, I'll drop in the chat my email so that any of you, if you are interested in more of our programs, can connect with me. I'll also drop our university website. And please, yes, feel free to reach out to me with any questions, and I hope to be of assistance to any of you that are interested in studying in the United States. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm back. Really quick before I get into UMKC information, I did want to add, as he's talking about all of these forms of funding, obviously we've told you, you need to check out our websites, you need to check out the departments, you need to see what we're up to and what's available. In addition to that, because we're going to add more to this, you can do research about third-party scholarships and funding. There may be associations within Spain that are willing to offer funding for this kind of thing, but there are also organizations, associations, professional networks, they're going to potentially offer additional sources of funding They may say that you need to already be enrolled or admitted, so there may be some specific criteria for that. Many of them are going to specify whether you need to be a US citizen or not. I know we have a list on our website. A lot of universities, if they come across some of these that are pertinent to their academic programs, are going to throw them on their website. But there is a certain amount of independent research that you can do as well. You know your field, you have a concept better than I do of what it is you're hoping to accomplish. So you might Google women in electrical engineering funding in the US. And you might start to come up with some additional opportunities to cover some of those costs, because as Amir mentioned, it's not always 100%. Even if we cover your costs specifically to the university, you are going to have other personal expenses, or maybe you need a grant to accomplish your research goals. So don't limit it just to what's available at an individual university. As you're applying for these external scholarships, they'll probably go with you to whatever institution you ultimately attend. So again, I'm Mary Parsons. I am the Associate Director of International Student Affairs at UMKC, and what that means is that my office specifically, we help you through this admission process. We supply you with the documents that you need to get your visa. We help you in the process of arrival. We set you free on the campus to accomplish great things, but while you are doing that, we are still here and available for students as they navigate the visa complexities of what you're allowed to do, what you need to do. We're here to support students throughout that entire process onto OPT or working after graduation. We're a one-stop shop for you. So as I continue throughout this presentation, when you run into questions, know that you can pretty much email us with anything. If we don't know the answer, or if it's specific to the academic unit, we will help get you connected. Next slide, please. So UMKC, if it's not obvious already, we are located in the state of Missouri, in the city of Kansas City. This is a photo of campus. It's our academic quad looking out towards the city. Unlike University of Colorado Boulder, we are not in a college town. We are in a metropolitan area of about 2 million people, and we are integrated here as part of the city. There's a lot of going on and off campus in terms of our interactions with the community. We have faculty that are full-time faculty. They teach, they research, they are fully ingrained in the university. But we also have faculty who their full-time job is actually within the industry in the city, and they teach part-time on campus, and it helps keep our students really current with different trends that are going on within their field. So the University of Missouri, Kansas City academic programs really kind of match the heart of the city in terms of what we do. So Kansas City is known for entrepreneurship, technology, where it could be computer science, electrical engineering, civil engineering, but also health technology. So there's a lot of interaction with different parts of the city and communities in the city. Our students are not required to live on campus. In fact, only about 10% of our students do, which as a graduate student should be no surprise to you, but that does mean there are a lot of housing opportunities around campus, but also throughout the city, and you can really live wherever you want. We have a jazz district. We're really well known for barbecue food. So under normal circumstances, the city is really vibrant, really active, really young. We have First Fridays where people sort of come out into the streets and they set up their shops or live music or different things throughout the city for you to walk through and enjoy. We have professional sports and things like that. So our hope is as students come, they're here on campus, it's really green and walkable, but they're out in the community and really getting involved. Next slide, please. So we're located right there in that little heart, right in the center of the country. What's really important to us is that we do have an international airport. It's easy to get to us and it's easy to go away. You may wonder why we want you to go away. We want you to get out into the world and do what's important to you as a researcher, as a graduate student. If you need to be doing professional presentations, if you need to be attending research seminars, if you need to take on different research roles at universities or organizations throughout the country, you can easily come in and out of Kansas City as needed. And that picture there is a picture of our downtown skyline. We have the capacity, sorry, that's my dog, to use public transportation to get throughout the city pretty quickly and easily from campus. Next slide, please. So traditionally, UMKC has about 16,000 students with over 1,100 international students. We have a really active campus with over 280 student organizations, and we are a public research urban institution. So what that means is that Obviously, we have funding available for specific areas of research, which is really important, but also as a public institution, our admissions processes are pretty transparent. As you go onto our websites for our specific academic programs, they are going to list out exactly what you need, and you should have a good idea, at least at the master's level, of your admissibility. Amir was mentioning, as you get into different kinds of funding, as you get into these PhDs, they can be very, very specific about what they're looking for. So I noticed there was a question already about grade point average and how much impact that can have on your application. If you are applying as a PhD student and you are a very good fit to a program and you have made that clear in your statement of purpose, you can overcome weaknesses in your GPA. I would also just say generally, all of our offices are set up really well to review your documents as it relates to the academic system to which you are coming from. We don't expect your transcript to look exactly like it would in the US or to be converted already, in the case of UMKC, to a 4.0 GPA. We will look at your documents with the resources and background knowledge to really assess those in a meaningful way as it relates from your system of education. So we talked a lot about different kinds of funding. I will say that UMKC, for most of our academic programs, have automatic academic scholarships, and that is based off of your GPA, but it doesn't require an additional application or deadline. They are reviewed at the point of review for admission. Next slide, please. So this gives you an idea of our cost of attendance. And so you look to the graduate side of the screen where we cover tuition and fees. This is often what is covered by a department at the PhD level when you receive a teaching or research assistantship. Living expenses are estimated. I use the cost of living for being on campus. Typically living off campus is a little bit more affordable. And then other is your health insurance, books and supplies, some fees or things that may be related specifically to your academic program. And so that gives you a total of roughly $38,000 per academic year. And that is enrolled full-time as a graduate student, which is required by the F1 visa at 9 credit hours. I show you this just to give you an idea. First of all, Kansas City is pretty affordable in terms of living in the United States. It is one of the advantages of being in the center of the country. The cost of living in terms of rental, food, transportation, all of those things are just a little bit lower than you might imagine in a place like metropolitan New York City or LA, something like that. So when you're looking at the cost of your education, where you choose to study geographically within the United States can have a big impact on affordability. These numbers are really important, and that's just because all of the institutions you're considering are going to show you these cost of attendance numbers, and that is typically the amount of funding or proof of funding you have to provide in order to get your document to apply for the visa. So that proof of funding could be a scholarship letter from the department, it could be your contract or something for your graduate research assistantship, but it could also be a bank statement, either your own or a family sponsor, to make up the difference, and that is a requirement of the federal process for these visas. Next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier we have some automatic academic scholarships. The Bloch School of Management is our business school and offers the Chancellor's Non-Resident Award. This is automatically awarded to anyone admitted at the graduate level for the program. So Amir mentioned specifically a lot of professional programs, they don't have research or teaching assistantships available. It's just by virtue of the type of program that it is, they don't need you to come and work in a lab because it doesn't exist. So in this case, the Bloch School of Management at UMKC offers a scholarship. It ranges between $6,000 and $12,000, but essentially what that means is it's going to offset the non-resident fees that are associated with institutions. So in the US, you have private universities, you have public universities. Public universities are typically funded, at least in part, by taxpayers from that state. So they get a reduced rate. So whether you live in Colorado or you live in Spain, you pay a higher rate than someone who is living in the state of Missouri. So the Bloch School of Management has offset that cost with an automatic scholarship for graduate students. Next slide, please. Similarly, the Dean's International Scholar Award is from our School of Computing and Engineering, and it also goes to all admitted graduate students. This slide is actually out of date. We no longer have a half visa. We have a full visa of $8,000 per year. All of these scholarships are going to be automatically renewable for the duration of your program for as long as you maintain good grades. We are going to help you do that. So we are going to offer challenging courses. We want them to be worthwhile. We don't want them to be so easy just so you can maintain your academic scholarship, but we provide support in the way of your academic advisor, in tutoring, in office hours from your faculty, in group sessions. There's a lot available to you to make sure you are successful and you maintain that scholarship. Next slide, please. So Arts and Sciences also offers the Chancellor's Non-Resident Award. Is called the same thing, but it is slightly different. It does look specifically for a 3.0 on a 4-point scale, grade point average, and the 79 or higher on the TOEFL or equivalent. So UMKC does accept the TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, and Duolingo for proof of English proficiency. And if anybody has any questions about that, I can send you directly to our website that outlines the score equivalents for all of those. Next slide, please. So really quickly, we'll go give you a chance to take a look at some of the programs that we offer, just because a school like Arts and Sciences specifically, it's really broad. It doesn't really tell you exactly what it is that we offer, but this will give you an idea of those collection of programs that might be categorized under Arts and Sciences. For us specifically, computing and engineering, we offer civil, electrical, mechanical, and computer science. We do, I haven't talked about this yet, we do have a really great conservatory of music and dance. And they are going to be one of the departments that does not offer an automatic scholarship, but may offer performance scholarships, things that do have a deadline, specific criteria, all can be submitted digitally. You don't have to be able to come to the US for an audition, which means a lot right now, but generally it'll be a very expensive feat for you to accomplish. So this is where you go to the website. You look at specifically what they're asking for. You meet the criteria in terms of content, much like the essays, and you submit that all online. You'll find that a lot of these are going to carry over to the next slide, but there are a few PhDs here, either because they are professional in nature or because, like Amir mentioned, they don't have a master's specific component that you apply to. You go straight into a PhD program. So a good example of that here would be our psychology PhD. Next slide, please. So we have interdisciplinary PhD programs. And what that means, you can apply to one of these or up to 3. Usually you have a primary discipline and then you have a co-discipline. Our hope is that we can really set you up right with faculty that are going to help you accomplish all of your research goals, novel research goals, something that's going to be different or build on something that is already occurring in a new way. We want you to have full support from throughout the different areas of study that we're really experts in our field, so that you can go out and create something new. So you would have a co-advisor. For example, if you did civil engineering and oral and craniofacial sciences. I don't know what you're going to accomplish with that. Maybe it's unrealistic, but you could take fields that seem otherwise unrelated and have advisors from both of them and accomplish really unique and great things. So that's our goal with the interdisciplinary program. Next slide, please. And that's it. And it's a lot of information. I know it's a lot from both of us, both on the topics of the essays and our institutions. So I hope that you'll stick around and ask some questions or contact either of us with our email addresses that'll be provided. Thanks.